Okay, good morning. Wow, that transition was a little faster than I expected, but that's okay. That's okay. It's Firearms Friday. Good morning, everybody. Without further ado, let me bring in our special guest. Good morning, sunshine.
Good morning, sir.
And there's the thirst trap indeed. So we'll be looking forward to Z Cheeseburger joining us this morning. How you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm fantastic. I watched The Rock with my oldest son last night. Not Dwayne Johnson,
It's
the movie that made Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Right? And while it's not the greatest movie of all time, as we watched, I was struck by a thing that God, movies like that are just not made anymore at all. I mean, not that there are no occasional good movies made. It just like it was unapologetic. It's like, hey, what if some people took over Alcatraz and ragtag team of guys had to take Alcatraz back? Okay, like it. So that's how I'm doing this morning. Otherwise, though, I'm fantastic because, oh my God, like. It's finally sunk in. Donald Trump is he's going to be the president. I mean, unless like him and JD Vance both die in a mysterious like Princess Diana automobile accident, like they are going to the White House.
Don't jinx it, my man. But I'm glad you mentioned the fact that the Donald won. I want to show you a quick clip, and then I'm going to hit you with some stuff, and hopefully this goes. Hopefully you're entertained by this. I need to actually switch out the clip. That is the right clip, but it's the wrong sharing mechanism.
Okay.
Which affects the flipping this. There we go. Because we want to share the audio from this guy.
Before we get started in this episode of Gun Meme Review, I just really wanted to check in and ask you guys, after the results of last week's election, how are you doing? Because I'm doing fucking great, baby. Ice Cream Man is out, McDonald's Man is in. We're in for a fun 4 years. That, and I'm finally glad I can stop getting so many fucking political text messages. Finally being free of election ads, texts, and calls. Mariah Carey. Side note, is it just me, or like when we were kids...
So, Cameron, are you familiar with this guy?
No.
I am thrilled to hear that because I am about to hit you between the eyes with some holy shit is Donald Trump winning. Real quick, before we get to that, real quick, Stryker says also InfoWars adventures continue. Brother, if you've got the time, I'd love to do an extra show today and talk about what's going on with that. Because as you probably heard, the news yesterday that was trending everywhere is that The Onion bought InfoWars.
Yeah, that's one of those things where like at first I thought it was a joke. In fact, I thought it was a joke by The Onion.
Yep.
No, it's actually what happened. So
nope. Turns out it's not what happened.
No.
So it looks like what has actually happened is The Onion put up some sort of a debt mechanic to try and buy InfoWars, and that debt mechanic that they used was a lower valuation bid than what was put up by guys like Steve Bannon and the like, who banded together to buy it outright. And now a judge has shut it down and said, no, this is not how auctions work. The Onion has not, in fact, purchased InfoWars. So now there's a whole bunch of weirdness going on there. And it looks like InfoWars might just be going back on the auction block. And the highest probable bidder is somewhere between a coalition of investors put together by Steve Bannon or Elon Musk. So
that would be impressive because Elon on a personal level does not like Alex Jones. He was one of the last people that he allowed back onto Twitter because he As he says, look, I've had a child die. It's a thing I don't think you're supposed to speculate about the way that he did, and I don't like him. Which
I think he may be coming around on some of that stuff as far as what Alex Jones's actual role was in that. But again, that's something if you're down to do another show later today or something, or even Tuesday when we've got more information about that, that'd be great. But this is what I really want to talk about. This guy right here. So you don't know who this is?
No.
That's awesome. And let me
Didn't they wait until after Thanksgiving to start putting up Christmas shit? Like, don't get me wrong.
So this is who this guy is.
Okay.
San Antonio's AK guy now wants to be Trump's ATF director. This guy is a YouTuber that does gun memes and the like. Now, here's what's happened. There is, good God, I've got a lot of tabs open on this. So this is RFK Jr.'s project called Nominees for the People, right? So it's discourse.nomineesforthepeople.com. And what it is RFK put up this website where citizens can go and nominate people for the cabinet positions that Trump has to fill. The AK guy has floated to the top of the list with some 30 or 40,000 Americans nominating him independently to be the pick for the leader of the ATF. And he had this to say on the topic.
90-day amnesty periods, where you could then, in that 90-day period, add as many machine guns as you would like to that registry, like California Freedom Week, except for the entire country. And with machine guns. That sounds like something an ATF director could legally do. But
Now, he actually just ran. He ran and unfortunately lost for a House seat in Texas District 23. But I want y'all to look at this number. Tony Gonzalez was the incumbent who beat him, right? And Tony Gonzalez handily beat his Democrat opponent. But look at the primary result. You're going to talk about a narrow victory. Tony Gonzalez just barely held on. And Tony Gonzalez outspent Brendan Herrera 10-1. So the math says that Tony spent about $550 per ballot, while Brandon only spent about $50 per vote. Now, so I'll give Tony credit where credit's due. He is a retired Master Chief Petty Officer, 20 years in the Navy. Okay, that's respectable. It's a little surprising. You usually don't see E9s with just 20 years, but that's neither here nor there. That said, however, on the political spectrum, according to Government Track, Gonzalez falls right here, just ever so slightly to the right of center. And I think that's worth mentioning because the guy that just won in Texas for the House, as his district gets redder, Uvalde's Republican congressman faces heat for votes on guns and gay marriage. Basically, I could give a shit what he voted on gay marriage, but he voted for the Biden-Harris gun safety, whatever it is, bill. So the guy that beat the AK guy by less than a percentage point in his primary is a red flags guy. And that's largely what Brandon Herrera was running against. But now there's actual talk. It's not just RFK's website. There's actually some speculation and some talk coming from insiders now that Brandon Herrera could potentially actually be the ATF director. Mr. I think everybody should be able to buy a machine gun. And that, y'all, I'm already trying to put together the cash to buy a new tractor. Now I got to come up with another 10 G's to get a new saw. Because, I mean, I've got a pretty good chainsaw, but I wouldn't mind spending a little money on a new saw.
Okay.
I thought you'd be more excited with this information.
Well, I mean, the ATF is, of all the government agencies, I think the IRS is the one I want to see go the most. However, that's not because the ATF ain't trying real hard to go for the top spot in my mind. Like, if a place is called the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, that should be a party favor store. It should be like a Sam's Club sized building where you just go and it has all your needs in one spot. The fact that we've specifically got a government agency dedicated to policing vice on a federal level, and the fact that firearms are considered a vice on a federal level, like everything about it. Like, so sure, put a meme lord in charge of it. Oh, he might ruin the agency. No. Yeah, I'm clear. Like, that's why. Yeah, put a meme lord in charge of the agency. So,
good answer, Sergeant Major. Whew. All right. Well, let's I do have some DGUs, but before I get to them, let's play with that conversation for just a second about RFK Jr. So this from Fox News: RFK Jr. What are you doing? There, RFK Jr. launches online forum to crowdsource names for 4,000 Trump administration nominees. Right. And I just want to look through this real quick with you guys because of, the online forum referred to as Nominees for the People, empowered by Kennedy's initiative to make America healthy again, prompts visitors to nominate and vote for candidates to fill positions under the categories of America's health, economy, education, energy, infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. Cast your vote on nominees for the Trump team. Top contenders under the Peace at Home category include Brandon Herrera, a Second Amendment activist and YouTuber, right? As well as Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, which I doubt it. But Elon Musk, for government efficiency. There's another one down here. Oh yeah, this one right here. I found this especially entertaining. The website has received thousands of votes for Mike Rowe Works founder Mike Rowe, as well as progressive Senator Bernie Sanders, to focus on labor. Can you see, dude, that right there? That would be a win. Mike Rowe for Secretary of Labor.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like the dirty jobs guy who really tried to make the point, like, hey, actually, there's this whole segment of America that cleans your toilets and makes a lot of money doing it. Maybe don't look down your nose at these people because, like, they take vacations to Hawaii doing the nasty work that you don't even want to think about, much less do. So
yeah, exactly.
Which consequently, brother, I don't even know the last time I took a vacation. Like, hell, I've only taken time off work once in the past 4 years, and I just stayed home. Like, I was tired, and I didn't want to spend money.
Yeah, so, understood. Well, you ready to get into a DGU? Firearms Friday, and we might have the AK guy as the ATF director. That works for me.
So I saw Waller in the chat suggest Colin Noir, and I'm actually gonna disagree with that. And here's why. under the current paradigm, a guy like Colin Noir is fantastic to have on our side. While I detest identity politics, it is nice to have a well-spoken black man in an idpol world who has a law degree, who has a lot of fantastic knowledge about firearms. Like, Colin Noir is an asset in the world we live in now. However, in the world as it should be, in the world that we should be pushing for, where we stop stigmatizing firearms from the beginning. I saw Unverified Bear in the chat say that the ATF exists because the federal government wants to make sure that it can tax alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. And Bear is correct. And part of the reason why we tax those things, there's a reason why I referred to it as a vice, because we have vice taxes. And I say all that to say, I don't want a guy like Colin Noir in the role. I think it wastes Colin Noir's talent, and it acknowledges the premise of the left that guns are this nuanced issue that are so dangerous, and we just have to consider all sides, and you slide into the think of the children bullshit real quick. And this is not a knock on Colin. If we're going to put people like him in charge of the agency, we're acknowledging the premise of the left that guns are dangerous and all those other things. And I'm not at all interested in playing that game. Like, there's a lot about RFK Jr. that I think is like kooky, like legitimately. Like I was going to bring a bear home and skin it and forgot it and left it in the back of my van to rot all day. Okay, that's funny, but it's also weird. However, we don't shake up the current paradigm by not being willing to step way outside the boxes that we're in. And so I'm good with RFK Jr. being nominated. And by that same token, I would just say no to Colin Noir. That's it. Like, really, I'm not gonna rabbit hole on it forever. The way we think about things needs to change.
Understood. And I don't entirely disagree with you. On the question of the Second Amendment, the answer is the Second Amendment. Yeah, I mean, right? The First Amendment says the Congress shall make no law, which blah 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 for speech, press, et cetera, et cetera. The Second Amendment does not mention a particular branch, body, house, anything. It just says, shall not be infringed, period. No law which exists in any municipality across the entirety of the United States of America, which references firearms, is constitutionally tolerable. And I will go so far as to say, with that language, shall not be infringed, every lawmaker who has ever in any way been a signatory to any law which references firearms or any other weapon outside of the use of weapons generally in if you say it's bad to murder people, it doesn't matter what the weapon is. So any signatory to any law that references the right to keep and bear arms in any way has broken his oath of office and should be removed for that crime. Now, unless you want to rebut that claim, Cameron, I've got us a DGU to move on to.
No, just my position on it is pretty succinct. Like I think if you're a felon but you've completed the terms of your sentence, you should be allowed to own a firearm. Like, just period. Like, what, you're okay with some guy that was in prison for 5 years, like, owning a gun? Well, yeah, because if we trust him enough to let him out of prison, if we trust him enough to pay off all his fines and his probation, we don't trust him with the right to defend his own life. Like, it's life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. If you don't have life, you can't have the other two. And yeah, so and that's shocking for people to hear, but I've given the example
in that order for a reason.
And I've given the example many times before on the show, like how there's a whole lot about felony homicide laws that I really dislike. If using a firearm in the commission of a crime elevates the crime, I think that should go away. That contributes to the negative stigma associated with firearms. If drug dealer A tries to rob drug dealer B, and drug dealer B defends himself and kills drug dealer A, I don't think that drug dealer B, morally outside of the drug deal itself, has done anything wrong. And I certainly don't think any of drug dealer B's charges should be elevated because they defended themselves. And this is a hard thing for people to hear and understand. But if you don't understand things like Jeffrey Epstein had the right to not commit suicide in his cell before his trial, then you don't understand how rights work. You don't understand that they are natural and God-given, and that we strip a person of their rights at great peril, even if they quote unquote deserve to have those rights stripped. And the right
at great peril to all of our rights.
And Unverified Bear even says, like, prison is supposed to be the debt. Have you paid the debt to society or not? And that's the thing. So yeah, I'd wipe out every federal law that exists. That'll have to be an incremental process. It won't happen all at once, but yeah, like, I'm like, no, I really think you should be able to buy a machine gun. Absolutely. 100%. You want to go buy a Tommy gun and defend your house with it? Please do. Let's do it. So
I do love the Tommy gun with the Lord's caliber. So, well,
400 grain.
We can certainly
400 grains at 800 feet a second will just ruin your day, man. That is.
So, man identified in fatal Glen Burnie road rage shooting. Police release additional information. I think we covered this story, but this is an update. Man killed in road rage shooting in Glen Burnie identified. Police say on November 7th around 8:20 p.m., officers responded to the area of East Furnace Branch Road and Margate Drive in Glen Burnie. That is a mouthful of location for a report of a shooting. We did not cover this one. Okay, good. Upon arrival, officers say they found a man lying in the roadway with gunshot wounds. The man, 51-year-old Scott David Gus of Glen Burnie, was I keep thinking of Glenn Ross. Coffee is for closers. What do you want, fucking steak knives? Right? The man, 51-year-old Scott David Gus, dead at the scene. Was pronounced dead at the scene by fire department personnel. Also located at the scene was a 22-year-old man who reported he was a victim of an assault and was also the alleged shooter in the incident, police say. Okay, real quick. He was also the alleged shooter. The 22-year-old man reported he was a victim of an assault and was also the alleged shooter in the incident. It sounds like he said, I shot the guy. There is a point at which we're past the allegation, right? Right. If I'm standing over a body with a .357 Magnum hole in the middle of it, and I'm holding my EDC in one hand, and I say, I did this, and here's why I was right to do so.
Allegedly.
Have we not been moved past the alleged? We're not alleged. No, I did it. It happened. It was a thing. Here, check my dash cam. Preliminary information in the investigation indicates the 22-year-old man was driving his motorcycle in the area of Route 10 and Furnace Branch Road when he noticed another vehicle tailgating him and driving erratically, according to officials. Oh, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I'm pretty sure that alone justifies the use of deadly force, but sometimes. Police say the driver of the other vehicle pulled up alongside him and shouted at him. The other vehicle then nearly collided with the motorcycle, causing him to pull off the roadway. Both vehicles came to a stop on East Furnace Branch Road, where the driver of the other vehicle reportedly charged toward the 22-year-old while brandishing a hammer. And that is definitely enough. Yeah, if you come running at me brandishing a hammer,
especially after almost running me off the road with your vehicle.
I mean, let's be real. There's a good chance that I could whoop your ass if you come at me with a hammer. I've got training. I've got skills. I've done it before. There's a damn good chance I could whoop your ass. But I'm tired. You're not worth my energy. That's why I have a gun.
Well, and violence has blowback, right? Like, look, I love the John Wick movies, but in the real world, there would be no John Wick 4. I don't care how tough you are. You're dead by the end of John Wick 2. Tops. Like, I don't care how tough you are. Like, you get hit by a car and you get stabbed by a couple of knives. And I don't care if you're wearing bulletproof armor. If you get shot like a dozen times, bro, you're done. You're cooked. So
Unverified Bear says his next door neighbor was assaulted with a hammer when motorbike thieves tried to take his bike from the front garden. It was very scary. And he says from the front garden, which tells you he's in the UK, because here in America, where we have liberty and guns, we also have yards. The garden is its own separate thing. But yeah, your friend was assaulted with a hammer because you don't have guns. And that's a two-sided thing. The criminals were not armed with guns, but your friend, because he lives in a country where nobody has guns, the fact is that he feels safer than he should, because you operate under the assumption that since the government has taken everybody's guns, then there are no other weapons with which criminals might decide to murder me. And that is something that's important to pay attention to. So Unverified Bear correctly says, don't give up your guns, right? China has not invaded the United States of America because there is a gun behind every blade of grass. We have more guns than people in this country. And believe it or not, some of us can use more than one gun at a time. You ever seen a fat man wield AK-47s akimbo?
Well, the thing about
Sergeant Major asks, where can we get Kevlar overcoat? I shit you not. Fee and I looked into this after we saw the last John Wick movie in the theater, and the bulletproof suits that John Wick wears are available for purchase. They're not nearly as effective as what you see in the movie, but you can indeed buy the 3-piece Kevlar suit. And they're kind of sexy, but they're proud of them.
Well, just to button up the point, violence doesn't work the way that we see it portrayed in fictional media. If you get into a fight, you are going to get hurt, potentially hurt badly, even if you win the fight. Don't kid yourself. Like, it's fun to watch the YouTube videos where some bully gets knocked out in one punch, but that's not how it happens 90% of the time. It's just not. In most fights, both people get hurt, and it's a war of attrition. The person who gets hurt less ends up being the victor by default. And yeah, no, I'm not playing that game. You want to get rowdy? I mean, I'm fine with giving you some wireless hole puncher action. Like,
yeah. Well, like when I was still training, since when I was a kid, a teenager, doing Shaolin and Kung Fu, my sensei, when we were doing weapons training, we got to knives and just basic, like, you got a K-bar and you're learning basic maneuvers to try and deal with the fact that the other guy's got a cutty thing. He said, rule number one in every knife fight is always this: plan on getting cut. That's just part of the math. You do not go, even if you come in with a knife and you're very, very good at what you do, part of your math is you're going to get cut. Doesn't matter. You're going to get cut. And that really translates to every kind of fighting. I mean, if you've never been in a boxing match, I mean, this nose ain't straight. That's not a genetic thing. But, it is what it is. So let's move on to the next. We can get at least one more DGU in before Cameron bitches out and tells me he can't do anymore. Let me see if I can get that a little better. Nope, that's not going to work. Trying to make that look a little better for the audience, but it doesn't look like it wants to play ball. I guess we're stuck with it like this. This will work. That's good enough. Concealed carry holder shot man after being struck by glass jar at Loyola Redline. Did we cover this one?
Well, while you figure that out, please. The cheeseburger says violence isn't the way, love is the only answer. And while I appreciate the fangirling from the cheeseburger, actually, sometimes violence is the answer. That's another one of those things people don't want to hear. But whenever you hear somebody says violence never solves anything, except for all the things violence does in fact solve. There are some things that violence solves. You might not like it. And I think it's even fair to say, violence is a measure of last resort. But don't take violence off the table. Don't do that. You're limiting your options.
So I just jumped over to this other story. This isn't a DGU. This is a oh dear. Man okay, this just sounds like fun. Man committed 8 armed robberies in an hour while wearing an ankle monitor for 4 other armed robberies.
And one other thing real quick. I saw Liberty Girl to You, fantastic name. Hello back. And there's a Core B Meh. I wish I knew how to pronounce that. I feel like that's got to be a pun I'm missing. Pepper spray seems pretty effective at changing the outcome of an encounter. I don't have a problem with your less lethal options. You want to carry pepper spray, you want to carry a taser, whatever. You go right ahead. Defend yourself. But pepper spray has got a couple of big problems with it. It's a once weapon. Like, it is a once weapon. Also, if the wind changes while you're deploying your pepper spray, you're going to have a real bad day. And finally, the thing about pepper spray is there are people like Chris, like my dad, whose picture's blurry right here, as part of their training to do the things that they, like my dad was a cop. Well, in order to get pepper spray certified for DeKalb County, he had to do one thing. He had to get pepper sprayed before he was allowed to use it. So you can survive being pepper sprayed. And let me be clear. Here's how the pepper spray test went. He was pepper sprayed, and then 2 guys with padded shields walked up and bumped into him. And after he was bumped into, he had to draw his pistol and put around center mass on a target 10 yards away. Which means after you've been pepper sprayed, you could get hit twice, still draw your firearm, and hit a target that's in close range. So carry your pepper spray if you want to. Use your pepper spray. Most people, once they get pepper sprayed, they're done. They don't want any more. But it is not the end all be all. Not even close. So just kind of bear that in mind. There's a reason why the firearm is superior.
While we were asleep in the tent in basic training, drill sergeants like to just throw a CS gas grenade in the tent with you while you're asleep. That's always fun. And then when I was at Delta Company in Hawaii, we did a ruck march. We do is 5 miles to the gas chamber. So at least twice a year, we would ruck march to the gas chamber and lock ourselves inside with a couple of CS gas grenades. And we would sing we'd take our masks off and sing the Army song and do push-ups, do 100 push-ups before you can get out and blow your nose. And it's good fun. It's good fun. And then, of course, your uniform smells like that shit for days. Well, I mean, you put on a clean uniform tomorrow. You still smell like that shit. I don't care how much you showered. And then in a week, you've come back around to the original uniform you were wearing in the chamber that you've washed 3 or 4 times to try. It still smells like that shit. It never goes away. You buy new rags. Gas, gas, gas. Absolutely. So let's wrap on this story. Because Jesus, son, 19-year-old man is charged with committing 8 armed robberies within an hour while he was on electronic monitoring for 6 other felonies, including 4 more robberies. Son. Oh my God. You can't even buy your own 40s yet. And you've already completely fucking ruined your life.
Well, why buy 40s when you can just steal them?
At gunpoint, apparently. Marcel Hale, 19, and at least one accomplice displayed firearms to rob men whose ages ranged from 23 to 74 last Monday, November 11th, according to prosecutors. Okay, so this isn't him going in and like holding up a liquor store. This is more like mugging people on the street. We just lose you, Cameron? You all right?
No. You didn't lose me. I am all right.
Took phones and wallets, one after another, according to allegations in court documents. He's accused of robbing a 69-year-old man, a 23-year-old man, a 36-year-old man, men ages 28, 49, and 57 in the 1600 block of North Trip, et cetera, et cetera. Chicago police officers identified Hale through photo lineups and electronic means.
Yeah, he was wearing the ankle monitor.
I wonder if the kid did it. Well, let's see. Where did it happen? Yep, he was there.
Yeah, you just
now
what you want to bet.
Let me tie this into the DGU story, though. Right here, let me tie this back real quick, because you're talking about this kid committed 8 armed robberies in an hour in Chicago, which has some of the strictest gun laws in the country.
Yep.
This kid, who is already a felon and under the age of 21, which, okay, there's arguments to be made about Second Amendment and blah, 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 right? Legally, the kid should be allowed to have a gun within the confines of the Constitution. But there are laws which are currently in place, in force, and this kid is no doubt aware of. He is unlawfully armed, being under the age of 21 and already a felon. And he's armed. And he managed to rob 8 people at gunpoint without encountering someone else who was also armed. So the robbery of each of those men is directly the responsibility, the fault of everyone who has ever said the words common sense gun control. Of every lawmaker who has ever been a signatory to an unconstitutional law, which is any law that mentions firearms. That's how this story ties back to the DGU. There wasn't one because Democrats disarmed Chicago.
Yeah, there has never been a mass shooting at a range or a gun club or a police station. It just It's just never happened. You know, funny enough,
there have been masses of shooting at gun clubs. There are some great videos out there of young thugs like this going into like a pawn shop and trying to rob them, and all of a sudden, like 19 dudes just open fire on the bad guy at the same time, and those are just chef's kiss, the deepest salt.
yeah. Of all the things you could rob, like a pawn shop in Texas is probably not the one. Probably not the one you want at all. You will come away looking like a plate of spilled SpaghettiOs.
Indeed.
So, are you the one that's trying to bitch out here?
No,
Do one more.
I've got two more. If you're here for it,
Got time for at least one more.
I've got three more. So let's go back to the one that I just jumped off of to do that one that we just did. Let's see, does it load up? Concealed carry holder shot man after being struck by glass jar at Loyola Red Line. This is also Chicago. Oh, of course it's Chicago. This is it's the same newspaper. CWBchicago.com. Concealed carry license holder shot at least one man outside the Loyola Red Line station this afternoon after being hit in the face with a glass jar, officials said. Chicago police said 3 men were walking in the 1200 block of West Loyola when another man walked up and started an altercation, pulled a gun, and shot toward all 3 men. CPD said a 28-year-old man was shot in the right hand and a 24-year-old man was shot in the right arm. Both were in good condition.
If you've been shot, you're not in good condition.
Yeah. How you doing? Well, there's a hole in me. The concealed carry holder was taken into custody shortly after the shooting. Okay, now hold on. Did I not understand something? The 3 men were walking in the 1200 block when another man walked up and started an altercation, pulled a gun, and shot toward all 3 men.
Yeah, the way these stories are written is trash. It should be very clear.
Okay, but Alderman Maria Hayden offered conflicting information in a Facebook post. She said 2 men, got into an argument outside the station, and one of them we did cover this one last week or week before. One of them threw a glass jar, hitting the other in the face. And the man who was struck by the jar is licensed to carry firearms, pulled his weapon, and shot the other 2 individuals. According to Hayden, the man who suffered a hand injury cut his hand on a fence and was not shot. Well, I don't know what to say about this now because what? Stryker, I don't think it was 3 versus 1. I think it was 3 total. But
Can't tell. Somebody got paid to write this article. Somebody got paid probably a shocking amount of money to write this article.
Well, his name is Tim Heck. He's CWB Chicago's managing partner. Started at KMOX, the legendary news radio station. From there, he moved on to work at stations in Minneapolis, Chicago, and New York City, where he apparently never encountered a copy editor. So, Tim Heck is canceled. Fuck him. Let's move on to another story. I started to say better story, but who knows? Apparently, copy editors are super expensive and just nobody has them. Hey, real quick, wait. Let's just take a moment here before we get into the next one. To Megan, Lincoln says, "Hi, Mr. Chris and Cameron. Hey, little buddy. Good morning."
Good morning.
Oh, this might have to be the last one. No, you know what? This doesn't have to be the last one. I might just have to let you tirade while I go get more coffee. So let's North Haven, Connecticut. A man was arrested after threatening someone with a knife in a parking lot on Thursday, police said. Police said at around 11:35 a.m., Obadiah Claude, 45, charged the victim with a knife, and the victim took out his legally possessed gun to try to stop the attack. Claude fled in his car when the victim took out the gun, police said. Detectives found Claude's car in West Haven and arrested him at a local business nearby. Claude was charged with threatening in the second degree, illegal possession of a deadly weapon, and breach of peace in the second degree. He's being held on a $50,000 bond. Okay, that's just a couple of pictures. This was not a random incident, and there is no threat to the public. What?
That does bring up something interesting, though. A lot of times, you hear a lot from the left. One of the talking points is that, oh, well, if there were all these good guys with a gun, we'd hear about it. And in all seriousness, no, you don't. Because most of the time, the threat of a firearm is enough to end the encounter. You ever watch those home invasion videos where the guys are all assholes and elbows as soon as they realize that the homeowner's armed? They are trying to GTFO at maximum speed. Well, that's because most of these types of violent criminals they're not really predators. They're bullies that think they're predators. They're actually weak people that are trying to use the path of least resistance to get whatever they want. So when they actually encounter resistance, when they encounter someone that's willing to stand up, fight back, well, they are completely unprepared for it, and now they're terrified. They're not tough. They don't engage in this behavior in the first place because they're tough and strong and brave and all these things. They do it because they're weak and scared, and they're compensating. They don't think that they can ever do things the right way. In my opinion, they're actually many times people worth pitying, because if they had any semblance of a decent upbringing or any semblance of a positive view of the self, they wouldn't do these things. And as soon as somebody fights back, all of their weakness and inadequacies are exposed. So you never hear about so many of these incidents where simply brandishing a firearm is enough to end the encounter before the encounter is, in fact, an encounter. These things happen not just here in the country, all over the world. Anywhere where there is a culture where it is tolerable or even encouraged for people to fight back, fighting back suddenly becomes a whole lot less necessary because everybody on the playing field knows it's an option. And goes back to what I said earlier about changing our entire mentality around firearms. Stop thinking of them as vices. Stop thinking of them as these dangerous things. Stop thinking of them as this issue that's nuanced and has to be discussed. And no, a positive gun culture will go a long way. So, yeah, just dude comes at you with a knife, you pull out your gun, and then the dude with the knife is like, oh, my bad. My bad. Oopsie fucking poopsie. That's actually how it's supposed to go. That is normal human behavior. And it's only the unarmed that have to fear it. So,
yeah, I mean, you look at the world today, we've got rising crime all over the world. You know, I mean, the world has problems. We have solutions. So,
firearms are the great equalizer.
Absolutely. Every feminist should be an absolute 2A advocate. But they're not actually interested in equality. They're just interested in killing babies. Which is another thing that guns are good at preventing. I've seen it.
There's nothing wrong with a silencer. Rod's mentioned a silencer in the chat a couple of times. That's one of those things. Again, it's like they're called silencers. Boy, that is false advertising.
Yes, there are two things that really get me in movies: silencers and hand grenades. Silencers do not make guns whisper quiet, where you can murder somebody, who's asleep in bed next to his wife, and she doesn't wake up because the gun's so quiet. That's not how that works. Hand grenades, y'all. If your experience with hand grenades is what you've seen in the movies and how they go, he hid in the bathtub. No, that is not how that shit works at all.
Sean Connery does hide in a bathtub to get away from hand grenades in The Rock.
He does. It's a good movie, but let me tell you something about hand grenades. That is an earthquake in your fist, my man. When one goes off for real near you, you know it. You know it. There should never be a hand grenade represented in cinema that's not accompanied by shaky cam. They really dropped the ball on that. But anyway, so this damn it. Yes, it is an awesome movie, but that's not the comment I wanted to share. Damn it. This is the one. I was trying to put this comment up, but then a few more came in so fast that as I clicked on it, it moved out of the way. Yes, God made man. Sam Colt made them equal. I love that expression.
Oh my God.
Bear, that. Whoa!
That's.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and put a pin in it there. Oh, wait. Okay. I'll throw this one up there, too. We grew up with guns over doors, behind doors, beside beds, and kids didn't mess with them. Respect for what was an adult's, like so many other things. I've had the conversation with my kids, right? We were staying in, we'll just say a hotel room recently for safety, and the kids already know, and I know the kids know, and my daily carry is one of the several loaded guns in the house, and it has a place that it lives when I'm still at home and in my pajamas. If I don't have pants on, I'm not wearing my gun when I don't have pants on. So, but when I take it off, like I'm getting in my jammy pants to go to bed, it goes next to the bed because it needs to be where I can get at it in case some shit goes down in the middle of the night. Because I'm deaf, and it's going to take a minute for the wife to get me activated to go and eliminate the enemy. That said, we did the hotel room the other day, and I had to put my gun down somewhere other than where I usually put it, which was still next to the bed, but it was next to the bed in a room that I'm in there with the wife and all 4 kids. And I took a moment. Hey, kids, I'm setting my gun down right here. What do you do? Nothing. We don't touch it. They all 4 of them, even the 5-year-old, said the right thing at the right time, and they were correct. That's it. You teach them correctly, right? We got a bit of that conversation from my dad and from my granddad. When Pop was still around, there was a loaded gun behind every door in the house. That just means you're living right. I mean, if you don't have a shower gun and a kitchen gun, what the fuck are you even working for? So, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Cameron, you got anything you want to close on before I do a little safety brief?
No, I also grew up around guns, and I mean, it's exactly as you described. This is Daddy's gun, and it's dangerous. But we can't go down the hole because we're an hour in. But that goes back to that whole how you think about guns, what your mentality around them is. America has a positive gun culture. I have never had an accident of the kind that you hear about in the movies. Feel like, oh well, a gun in the home makes you so much more likely to have all these terrible things happen. Well, no, not if you're in any semblance. Not if you're in any semblance a responsible gun owner. Like it is what it is. Like, look, we
When
teach
you're eating your
kids.
chocolate chip cookie in the shower and you think you heard something.
Like, look, we teach kids all the time, like, not to stick metal in light sockets. Like that's dangerous.
I don't think I've actually bothered to tell my children that.
Yeah, that whole Jeff Foxworthy joke. Oh, go ahead, stick that penny in that light socket. Oh, it hurt like hell, didn't it?
Won't do that again.
Anyhow, yes, I'm tapping out. Make fun of me. It is what it is.
All right. So thanks for joining us this morning, Cameron. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Hopefully we can get you back on Tuesday and we can do
an autopsy.
Yes, a little post-mortem on the election, which was, I mean, as thrilled as we are with the outcome, when you look at the other side of the argument, they suffered an absolute disaster. And we'd love to talk about that a little bit. So look forward to that on Tuesday, and we'll see you then, brother. So thanks for watching this morning, guys. As always, Firearms Friday on Friday mornings at 07:30, live every day every weekday at 07:30. That's what we do. I appreciate y'all coming and watching the show. As many of you have noticed, we've been doing the shorts, and as soon as I hang up this show, I'm going to go get some more coffee because I ran in a minute ago and there wasn't any. So, the shorts are doing pretty well, and I see that many of you have watched those. Please share those, like those, and help us grow with those. Again, we're on Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, etc. We're on all the major platforms and starting to add more and more of the, shall we say, lesser platforms like Trove and those. So we're all over the place. Appreciate it. And now that I'm fully retired, I'm really drilling down to focus on this a little more. We've been doing this show for 10 years. And it's been a hobby horse basically for the last 10 years. I've done it. We've been daily for about 5 years, I think. But we've been doing, we were weekly before that. And even when I was full-time, 8 or 10 hours a day doing real estate photography, or before that when I was doing insurance sales and the like, we've kept doing the show at 7:30. This, I read my newspaper and have my coffee. But now that I don't have to fill that other time, I want to go more full-time with this. What I need from you guys, I need a little help from you guys. The show at brushfiremind.com. Use that email address, the show at brushfiremind.com. Send me ideas. Those ideas can be an article you want me to talk about, a politician you want me to do a deep dive, an analytical deep dive on. You got a Republican that voted for red flag laws? Let me know, and I'll, that'll be a morning show. We'll tear into his dirty laundry and work on getting him primaried. I do know some people. We can actually look at putting people in positions to primary shitty congressmen and senators, right? And like, even if I don't know the guy you need to know to do that, I know the guy that knows the guy. We got that. and we can do the show. We can get some of those people to come and talk on the show from time to time. I'm working on some of those things too. So yes, use the show at brushfiremind.com. Articles you want me to look at, politicians you want me to dissect, send in DGUs. If you happen to see a good DGU that fits the rules are basically DGUs, we want them within the last 7 days. It can be a bad form story. It can be a DRT. It can be, any of that. Let me know. And then the other thing I want from you guys, I'm going to keep it in Georgia for now, but I would like to start in the springtime, probably going to small town festivals. I'll probably do a few that are real close by, that are here in my local community between now and Christmas. But then come about March, I'll put some rubber on the road and take some cameras out and go hit up these little small town festivals. And I can either go and kind of do a man on the ground reporting thing, or I can go and set up the remote live show tent if it's a place that's got good internet coverage, and along with that, I'm looking at maybe adding a Starlink panel to the mobile live kit, because there's a Starlink setup that you can get that is essentially Wi-Fi for RV stuff, but I think that might be the right solution for the remote live stream tent. And that said, if you look in the description below, you'll see the Buy Me a Coffee link. If y'all want to help me fund the Starlink to add remote live streams back to the show. We used to do them before, but it's a pain in the ass when you have to rely on the local cellular network for coverage. But Starlink, I think, will be a legitimate solution to that problem. So y'all let me know what you think about that. We're going into the weekend, so y'all be safe out there. Don't drive drunk. Don't fry bacon naked. Always, always, always carry your EDC. And we love you, and we will see you on Monday.